How's it going? So, I just watched Dave Thaumavore's great video, 5 Reasons Why You Should Stop Playing Wizards of the Coast D&D. And I guess I just wanted to pile on the WotC hate wagon here and give you 3 more reasons why you shouldn't play 5e D&D. Has some very good reasons in there. I really liked it. Obviously, I really liked it, right? Especially his bitching about how many other systems are out there now. Like back in the day, it was basically all D&D, and gradually more systems came out, and some of them have very good mechanics and other sort of reasons to play them, right? And he talks a lot about those things, and I think they're all salient and good points that he makes. And I wanted to add my own, essentially when it comes to the rules, right? All games, all the RPGs that they make, I say they, it can be companies or individuals, but they're always going to have some rules that are dumb, right? Some rules that suck. And so it's just sort of an inevitable part. 5e has it, 3e had it, they all do, AD&D had it, right? But some of these games have great rules, right? And great mechanics. Like, so one more reason that you shouldn't play 5e or D&D or WotC DnD, it's Wizards of the Coast D&D, is that playing other games exposes you to new mechanics, right? New things that you can incorporate into your game as a dungeon master. Now, as a player, you're kind of at the mercy of who's running the game and what they want to run to some extent. But as a dungeon or as a game master now, kind of old school, there's a lot to learn from other systems. Like one of the ones I learned early on, I'd say early on, but it was actually quite a, anyhow, the old Star Wars RPG had this great mechanic that where you just added half your level to everything, right? It was the equivalent of the 5e proficiency bonus. And you can see that it was a good mechanic because 5e kind of other games ripped it off, right? It was very simple, just add half your level to everything. And that is how you calculate things, right? When it comes to, D&D, there's a lot of, even 5th edition, which is supposed to be more streamlined, and in a lot of ways it is, right? But there's always these like crunchy rules. Like, I don't mind crunchy character creation, the way kind of Pathfinder can be sometimes, but the crunchy gameplay rules really annoy me, right? I think the most obvious one for me in 5e that always this immediately annoyed the crap out of me was like the resting rule, like how much you get for a long rest and a short rest, and this way you calculate with your hit dice, and you got to spend this, and it's like this is needlessly complicated. Like you could just have a rule that says you gain half your total experience every time you do a long rest, right? Maybe that's too much, maybe whatever, but it's simple to memorize, right? It's easy, it flows, right? You don't need to do math just to know how much, just to take a freaking rest, right? All the rules around resting are annoying. All the rules around leveling, right? And a lot of the systems are guilty of this, right? Because they're pigeonholed into this or shoehorned or whatever you want. Like you have to have 20 levels and every level has to be relevant. And so what ends up happening is everybody bitches about power creep, right? Because you start tacking so much stuff and everything increases, right? So the difference between characters at 2nd or 3rd level is not that great, but you begin sort of increasing these in increments, over 10, 15 cycles, and the differences become quite, we'll say, problematic, right? The difference in hit points from a wizard to a barbarian are tremendous after, 10, 12 levels, and things that will only sort of wound the barbarian will outright kill a wizard from going from full hit points down to nothing, right? Grappling is another rule set where everything, like almost every system, grappling is it just sucks, right? And there's all these systems. Pathfinder has like combat maneuvers, right? You get a combat maneuver bonus, combat maneuver defense. The rules for grappling in D&D are still kind of obscure and Byzantine. You have to look that crap up every time. Whereas you could just have a rule that says, make some kind of attack roll to grab him and then a strength check to see if you can hold him. And that would be it, right? That's easy, but they always have these crunchy rules. And so some of the systems that you play have much better rules that you can incorporate into your games, right? And especially crunchy gameplay rules. God, I hate when you have to calculate all this stuff. It makes combat go so slow, and it's one of the most annoying things. And even if you like tactical games, right? It takes a lot away from the tactics when you're just sitting there dealing with these minutia, right, and having to refer to books and all this kind of stuff and rules lawyering. Whereas some games have really good systems, so it's worth checking out, right? All games have stupid rules, but some games have some great rules that you can rip off, right? And hopefully Frankenstein your own system. So that's number one. One more reason to branch out, right? Find new rules. Number two, and this may be a somewhat personal thing, but I don't like the books from 5th edition, and they're expensive now, and they're poorly organized. Like, let me show you just to look like the player's handbook, right? If you look, you turn to any random page, right, and it's just a page number, and that's it, right? Now compare that to the original Pathfinder, right? Everything you need is in one book. There's no player's handbook and then Dungeon Master's handbook. And then at the top, they have something simple, the number of the chapter and the name of it, right? So you have some idea when you're flipping through where you are. And keep in mind that Pathfinder came out years before 5th edition. And now, if you're into still Paizo products, they do this, which is fantastic, right? On the side, they give you these little tabs so you can flip through easily and you know where you are. And the artwork is good. And like the simple things like that, organization, make for a nice book. Because the whole point of buying a freaking book and not just looking it up on your phone is that it's easy to get to it and sort of reference, right? It's convenience. It's cool. You just there it is, right? You can put a bookmark and you know where it is and you can read it and you don't have to stare at a screen. D&D books, you have to flip to the index, right, to find anything, or the table of contents, and it takes so long that it's much easier to just look up the rules on your phone, right? There's really no reason to buy the damn books. And then the artwork, like I mentioned, I don't like the 5e artwork. It seems crappy. It seems like something that somebody made in like art class. Like, it doesn't seem very good. Whereas at least Paizo and other, like Call of Cthulhu has good art, Paizo has good art. I don't know, maybe it's a personal thing, but just the books themselves, it's crap organization for a $50 book, right, that you have to buy several of. Right? It's like super expensive. What you end up doing, if you have any sense, is that you buy the player's handbook, right? And then everything else you just look up online, right? Print it out because it's much easier. It's like you can just compile. You're not going to use all the monsters. You're not going to use half the stuff that they sell you. A lot of it's just filler pages, right? It's pretty annoying. And then on top of it, they're just poorly organized. So the books are not organized well. And then lastly, and this is kind of building on the bitching on Wizards of the Coast, is that there is no end to D&D products, right? They've been putting out products, TSR and then Wizards of the Coast for years. And the main goal of Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, is that they want you to buy product, right? Buy stuff, buy our stuff. They will always put out new content. They will always find ways to monetize more stuff. And they will always nix their old rules in favor of new rules just for the sake of selling you more stuff, right? There's always going to be a next edition. Now they're going to have D&D 1, which is just 6th edition, right? Because marketing decided it was better to say D&D 1 than 6th edition, but there's going to be another one after D&D 1, right? Maybe it'll be called D&D 1X or 2 or whatever, right? There's no end. And you can keep buying their shit over and over and over and over again, or you can find one of the rule systems you like and stick to it and do what all the old school game masters do, who've been doing this for a while, is you create your own content, right? You Frankenstein some rules together and you have your own little sort of system that you use, right? And all of these are functional. You can just go online and download 3.5 PDFs and 3rd edition PDFs Mix that with Pathfinder, and you've got this massive library of content that you can use, right? You don't need to buy these books. You don't need to play test. Like, these are all been play tested before, right? And inevitably what happens with these, as people are complaining about power people and stuff, is that when you put out so much content in order to make money, you start to break things, right? So the simpler the system is, the harder it is to break. Well, you need to sell more books, right? So you add more rules and more classes that have more abilities, and those abilities kind of mix with other abilities, and now you can start to make these sort of munchkin builds. That inevitably happens with all the systems, right? Or at least the ones that start to expand, this D&D and anything that sells a lot of copies, right? But the point is, like, you don't have to buy all this stuff. There's plenty of stuff out there already that's basically free that you can use, and you don't have to send money to Wizards of the Coast for their latest, greatest edition installment to whatever, their latest fix to something that wasn't broken, right? It's just the nature of corporation. People bitch about it, but it is true. It's just, that's what they do. They're out to sell you product, right? And you don't have to buy it. If you don't have to make endless videos about how much you hate it, but you don't have to buy it, right? Just play something else. That's it. And there's tons of products out there to pick from. Right? So that's my little piling on screed there. I'll just give you 3 reasons. There's probably rent for more, but that's 3 right there. And that's what I got for tonight. Just a little thanks to Johnny Walker for this video. All right. Take it easy. See you around.